Hi, I'm Tim Taylor, the Executive Director of SSDA, and I wanted to provide for the superintendent, staff, and the board a presentation on what's ahead in the next year or two. And I want to talk first and foremost about what we've been dealing with when it comes to the COVID and why so many staff are stressed out. This is a very important, what we call the circles of impact. And if you look in the middle, right here, there's four different phases of impact or circles of impact that are important. And the first one is the direct victims. So if you think of it as a fire, let's say a wildfire, then right here is the direct victims. Then you have the family and loved ones that are involved with the direct victims. So that's your schools and all that. So in COVID, you have victims that lost family, that got really sick, and the family around that. Then you also have the first responders. So that's the healthcare workers that are dealing with COVID, but also schools. You guys were first responders. You were dealing with it. And then the community as a whole, your parents and everybody around that. So collectively, there's four different circles. You could be in all four in many cases. And a lot of times the direct victims have to deal with all the people trying to support them. And in some cases you have people that were not, let's say they did not lose their house in a fire, but they're crying all the time because they feel so bad. So this is a very important slide for you to look at to figure out what is going on in your community and why staff are so traumatized. Then I look at this one as one of the best things to go, what is going on? Well, if you look right here, this was like December before COVID hit, January, and then March 13th, right here, we closed all the schools, closed the state, and everyone that I talked to goes, oh, I got this. I'm going to help out with distance learning. I'm going to get the kids back in school. And you come up here and you find out we're in for a 2-year fiasco with this COVID. So the honeymoon ends and there's this huge drop in really morale and spirit and energy. And in COVID, it keeps bouncing back and forth. Like we think we're coming back, we're not. And it's very tough. In a fire, usually this fire lasts, 2 weeks to 2 months at the most. You put it out, you get people back on their feet and you slowly build back. Well, COVID's taken a lot longer in here. So I look at the three phases of trauma and that as a restore, recover, and then now reimagine your school. So in the restore stage, it's supposed to be the shortest, right? You put the fire out, there's an earthquake, and you get everyone to safety, and you begin to go into the next phase. COVID's been going around in circles, bouncing back and forth between the restore stage. And really, if you look at the COVID crisis timeline that I gave you, it shows you a look at the last 2 years and how things have flip-flopped and all these decisions. I think it's good if your district actually inserts some other important dates in your world, along with those state and national ones that I gave you in the handout on the timeline of the COVID. It's really shocking to see what you've been through and the flip-flop decisions and things that have gone on in your world. In the recovery stage, which again is bounced back and forth during COVID, you start to really look at how resilient your community, your kids, and your educators are. But remember right here, victims cannot teach victims. So focus on the health of your employees. They are tired. Some are very traumatized, and you have to really help support them. I know it's difficult because you're tired also, but as a governing board and as a superintendent, it's important that you keep an eye on that so you can get back to normal. And remember, leadership's so crucial, right? You can only have superpowers for so long. So this is exhausting, difficult work. And collectively, the superintendent, the board, and the leadership really have to step up during this stage. And now we get to go to the reimagine stage. And I think we're getting close to that. I think we're getting towards the end of the pandemic. I think it will linger on for a while, but let's hope this is starting to come down. And this will take years to reimagine your district. And I have things for you to look ahead. Please forgive and move on. There's been a lot of mistakes everybody's made. Move on. Don't hold a grudge against people. Everybody's trying their hardest. And remember, you're going to have people that say, I'm tapping out, I'm retiring, I'm moving. Don't hold that against them. It's just part of what they're going through in these three stages. So let's look and talk about reimagining. Let's quit continually talking about the same things over and over, which is the mask, the vaccine, Have that a limited discussion, what you can control and what you can't. But look, you're heading into the most exciting time in education. And what are you going to leave as a leader, as a superintendent, as a board? This is your moment. And here's why. We have 9, let me count them, 9 new big state initiatives coming, the most I've ever seen in one time frame. Now, I always say change is difficult, big change is a little harder. So get ready for these 9 initiatives. Let's first take a look at the federal money coming your way. They went all in on childcare and universal preschool. So 400 billion coming. About 10-12% of all children in the country go to our schools. So you're looking at probably 40 to 50 billion coming from the feds to us. You got some PD money, more career tech money, more workforce development to help you obtain more teachers, more staff, and more jobs for your youth. Big time things coming from the feds. The infrastructure money is going to give you, if I went back, the infrastructure money that we're also in there has money for buses, for cleaning up your waters, and for facilities. But let's get to California. There's 9 priorities that I see in the very near future. And one is preschool for all and TK for all. About $1 billion they're putting together in this. There'll be more than that because you got that federal money coming. It's a ton of money to help you with PK, planning, facilities, and also training. And we're going to help you as much as we can in this area. Then you have community schools. This is where you invite the community to come in and help you with your school and provide best practices, have great support and ongoing coordination for what's on your campus. And it's a really good time to partner with your CBOs, your churches, and others to come into your school and help create really more of a healthy and wellness community for you. That's a lot of money, $3 billion, and it's for 5 years. Also, the big one is the before and after school expansion, historic. About $750 million to help jumpstart some one-time things for you to get going. And then we're looking at ongoing up to $5 billion in ongoing funding for those that choose to go in, provide after-school programs for their kids. There's going to be a big initiative priority focused in on more money for special ed. This comes from the federal government, but mostly here on how to do early intervention for our preschoolers. You have some inclusive money that's going to help you work on your inclusive programs. And then you have a lot of discussion about the future of the SELPAs and what that means. A lot of money for PD. You got your educator effectiveness, gives you a per allocation for your teachers for PD. I think there'll be a lot more than that coming. You saw that from the feds and also I think some in the current budget. Definitely you can help out, take your classified staff and have them become teachers through the credential program. Got some money for help recruit national board certified teachers. All this is PD money for staff. Curriculum, you know what's going on. We have a lot of things going on with ethnic studies, A through G, looking at open resources so teachers have access to more curriculum. And to me, I think, you're going to see, I think, a more priority around curriculum and support for different curricular areas to get us caught up. And then you have broadband. Really, I think the big one is about $6 billion the state's putting forth. I think that's a misquote. I think it's $5 billion coming from the Fed. So you have a lot of money. I think it's $9 to $10 billion total that's going for expanded broadband. We are going to close that gap finally. And then you're going to have lunches for all, 2 lunches for all children in California. I know it's a lot of work and a lot of worries here. We've got a lot of work to do in that, but that's a big initiative. I never thought we'd be feeding all children 2 per day, but that's what they're putting out there. Money for staff training and figuring ways to do that, especially for smalls. And then the 9th one that I've added in here is you're going to see a lot more money in SEL and MTS to help fund your staff and that. We're working very hard to get a small district allocation so it's not per ADA. We have money coming from the feds, from your local county. Your county has funding through the state, and then you'll see some money coming from the governor and the CDE, both in SEL and in mental health. 9 new initiatives. They're here, and they're coming right now. I mean, you're going to have some plans due immediately. Some are due in December. Others are due in June. I forgot to add the S. This pandemic crisis, you need to move on from that and keep your kids safe, keep talking what you do, but really start to dial in on this exciting time with these 9 initiatives. Couple suggestions I have. There's no way your current staff can handle 9 new initiatives and also run your district. You're going to have to think how to support the superintendent, bring in some project specialists to be dialed in. These are big plans, big money. If you think your staff's going to do it just on their own, I think you're really selling that short. And also keep an eye on your front or back office staffing. That's a lot of money coming in over the next 5 years, ton of money, a lot of accountability, a lot of audits. I would staff up and not just rely on the current staff. You cannot add these initiatives without more. And then lastly, a lot of people say, how am I going to do that? I look across, there's some very big reserves that you have. Remember, the state wants 3%, where we keep lobbying that's too small for small, but some of you are carrying 20, 30, 40, even 60% reserves. Those are called one-time expenses, and I would put that towards these initiatives. If you want to have a new and reimagined district, spend some money, you'll get it back. Your indirect that you'll get from these programs will pay for whatever you do. Work together as a team to figure out how to do that. And remember, this is all about creating momentum. Everybody's down, everybody's a little down in the trench. This is a good time to focus on what lies ahead. Come up with a motto like all in, we got this, all day, every day, something that re-images your district. And then lastly, we just found out today, we have another $30 billion surplus in the 22-23 budget. That's projected, it's early. I think it's gonna actually grow a little bit. That's about $9.5 billion in excess one-time money for schools. And there's a projected 5.4% COLA for your staff. So more is coming. You got the 9. I hope they don't do more. We're going to try to take that funding, the extra funding, and put it in your base into ongoing, but you never know in an election year. So with that said, I just really wanted to get you guys some type of board presentation to talk about the future. It's super exciting, right? A lot of work, but I really feel collectively your district has a really good chance to really spark itself up, move on beyond COVID, and bring some exciting things in for kids. So with that said, have a good Thanksgiving and good luck with everything. If you need anything or any follow-up, just give me an email or text, and I'm here to help. Take care, you guys.